I have one.
Let's
We're
see it.
live.
Oh wow, there's a
Live.
physical. I think we're live. Yeah, we've
Oh,
started.
we're live. Okay.
So what do you got there, Scott?
This is my comic book.
All
Uh,
right, it's on the
any,
shelf.
yeah, it came out yesterday. I got a single advance copy. Well, I went by the comic shop on Tuesday. So I was telling Ellis, I went by the comic shop on Tuesday, and they had them out. I took some pictures. If you're Facebook friends with me, which I think probably most people that watch are Facebook friends with me. If you're Facebook friends with me, I I posted a picture of one in the wild, so to speak. But it's live. I mean, and it looks really good. I you know, I had a question about the coloring. I was just like, because it seemed a little bright
Mm-hmm.
on the files, but I think it looks really good.
Well, I think that's probably. I would never be able to color a comic book properly. I
Oh,
just
sure, yeah,
can't.
oh
I
yeah,
can't do the CMYK thing. I
yeah.
can't go RGB to CMYK and get what I think I'm getting.
Oh yeah. But anyway, so this is the comic. It's out. If you if you get one, do me a favor and I mean if you're take a picture of it on the shelf and let me know what comic shop you got it at. I'm just curious where they're at. I've gotten a few pictures from across the country, which has been pretty cool. My website. It's funny because I posted on Facebook that this weekend it struck me. It just hit me all of a sudden like, good grief, my comic is coming out this week,
Yeah,
and and it was just this overwhelming sense of oh my gosh, because I've worked on this thing I mean, literally last.
it's a milestone. Yeah.
It is a milestone. Many people have told me, there's a lot of people out there that go, I want to do a comic and they never get it drawn. They want to
Right.
do 8 pages and they're wore out, or they won't do an issue. I've done 4 issues. 4 issues are coming out of this comic, and I mean
It's
the
gonna be great. And then I guess you'll get a trade out of it. I assume.
we'll get a trade probably sometime next year. Yeah, you know,
Mhm.
so yeah, it's really cool. The diamond numbers have been pretty good. It's like, oh, I'm not supposed to put it on social media, but it's like 3,800 and something. It's just under 4,000 copies or have been ordered through Diamond. Now, if those copies sell out and people want more, then it may go to a second printing. I don't know how many the publisher printed, but they sell them. They will sell them on their website, and they will sell them at conventions. And so it's got kind of a long tail, so to speak,
Mhm.
uh, as they say. It's just a matter of will people want it, and then so we'll see. I mean, I'm excited to have it done, not because I'm excited for people to get to see it,
Yeah.
and
No,
I'm happy.
it was a huge amount of work, a big risk of your time, and it's really cool to see that it's all
Well,
paid off to the fact that it is out.
well,
That's the big thing is the accomplishment one has been
yeah,
accomplished.
yeah, and
It's out.
you know what's awesome about it, Ellis? We didn't do a Kickstarter,
Uh huh.
and
Yep.
I'm not hating anybody that does crowdfunding because I know a lot of people do that. I was able to work with a publisher, so I'm grateful for that. But people do a Kickstarter and they'll go, well, we got to raise X amount. It was like $3,000 or $5,000. You know, we've I don't know. I mean, to sell the amount that we sold with nothing like that, I think it's just awesome,
Yeah.
and I'm super happy
Well,
about it.
and it's also a mental thing. That Kickstarter leading the charge is
Yeah.
a good way to depend on the fact that the guy that will hate that comic book the most is the creator of it because he'll find himself saying, "Oh man, I can't work on this today," and every day that goes by is a day that should have had an iteration of that comic book being produced, and he'll find himself just missing more and more days. The only way to do something like this is to produce the comic, have that lead into any sort of promotion. Make sure you've got the comic done, you know.
Yeah.
And you've got a comic here. It's done.
Yep. Yep. And I'm going to get, I mean, you know, the, I mean, it's cool. It is super cool. It's cool that so many copies have sold. I hope that people like it. I did a very impromptu store signing yesterday at a local shop that he ordered a stack of them. And he told me he was going to, so I went by there Tuesday and said, "Hey, the book is coming out tomorrow. What do you want me to do?" And he goes, "Oh, I know. I got them on the shelf." And I went over and he had kind of a rope up where it's like, "Don't go back. These aren't on sale till tomorrow." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, my comic." And, I said, "Do you want me to come up tomorrow and sign some, or you know?" And he said, "Well, I'd like to do a thing on a weekend where I can promote it." I said, "Yeah, but if I come up," and so I left work early and I went up there after work, and they weren't real busy, but everybody that came in bought a copy of my comic.
So, well, there you go. Well, you were present. You were the you were the guy there. I can't pass this up. He's here. I can buy this.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that was a good thing.
And so I'm just I'm super happy about it. It's funny because like this has come out. You know, things at work have been going really good for me. We've had some chaos, but I always say chaos at work, if you handle it right, is a good opportunity if you know what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And so I've been able to do some stuff to where to kind of solidify my power as it is, such as and I think some good things are going to happen for me in the fairly near future. Now, stuff at work never goes quick, but I think in the next couple months, some good stuff will happen for me at work. I think there's a lot of opportunity for me at work. I certainly had the opportunity to prove my value.
I was going to say that's good considering how the whole country is headed down.
Go straight to hell.
It's
my
nice
company may go out of business in a year, but but the last 6 months will be great for me.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I don't understand what's going on, Ellis.
Yeah.
I don't understand why people I don't understand.
Well, we don't have agency. I mean, all of us hate everything. If any of us had agency, the stuff would be dismantled and start over again. Just like I don't know. You just can't go out there and throw a firebomb and expect that you got some good out of it. You know?
Yeah.
At our level, we can't do anything about it. We can vote, and they're trying to take that away from you by virtue of systematic cheating.
Well, it's just amazing how the I don't know if you're calling the technocratic class or the government class or whatever. It's just like, you know, you hear like all these horror stories that are coming out about just this horrible corruption, you know, and then they're like, well, you know, we're mad at Donald Trump because he did this. You know, it's like, well, Donald Trump lied about how much his value is, so we're going to file civil charges against him.
Yeah.
And it's like, who gives a crap? Our country's $31 trillion in debt. Who gives a crap about he inflated his net worth? Really? Did he?
Yeah. Well, and that is apparently just so standard as a guy that's Trump's size that it is SOP to inflate your worth. And then it's like anything. It's like, we've adjusted that. The IRS knows everything. You do this to do that, and that's everybody does it. And it's like, okay, but, this DA has decided, well, we'll indict this ham sandwich here.
Oh,
That's how they do it.
Oh, she ran on a platform. She ran
Yeah.
on a platform. Probably one of her promises was that she was going to get Trump.
Yeah.
Well, how is that? How is the DA saying I'm going to get Trump even allowed?
Yeah.
Anybody, not forget about Trump.
There's so many things that are just being done
So corrupt.
out front and blatantly. It's like, hey, stop this. No, you don't behave like this. As
Right.
from
Yeah.
from the get go,
A
that
DA
just
should
isn't
never
done.
going. I'm going to get somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
And
not. Well, first off, yeah. Well, yeah. But their hatred of Trump knows no bounds.
yeah.
And all of it, or a lot of it, is based on a lie. What do they even hate Trump for? Well, it's because he's not.
Because he's running and because he can take it all away. That's the only thing. If Trump had a step back position he could take and viably live with himself, taking that step back position, they may have actually kind of cornered him to where it is, got him in a thing where he just can't give up now, because they might just go ahead and destroy him when he's not a threat. If he
that's the
just
thing.
for vindictiveness, and it's like he almost has to stay in it like a Banana Republic guy has to stay in it to keep from being strung up in the middle of the night at this point.
Yeah,
because he already has been strung up in the middle of the night, basically on a lot of levels.
And that's the thing. It's like he can't even the whatever you think about it, the man can't even leave office in peace. You know, you would think won would be good enough.
Yeah, he's
but
as long as he is
a threat to them.
Yeah, he's a threat.
And that's the thing. He threatens their power. I mean, and what's amazing about what's inspiring about all this, Ellis, is if you think back, everything that happened during Obama's reign, when Trump came in, it was like immediately they were all like, "Oh my gosh, our world is over." And it's like he could turn. It's like logically, if you look, you go, these wackos have control of everything. They have control of the media. They have control of pop culture. They have control, but yet Trump wins and they immediately collapse. And so, I mean, to me, that's like, hey, that gives you hope. Their foothold on society is very tenuous, and they
it needs to come from the top. It does need to come from the top. It has to be backed up.
Exactly. Without government grants.
That's another one. That's another reason they have to absolutely destroy him utterly. Yeah.
Well, but the thing is like you say, he's not good. They will not intimidate him. He doesn't care. I mean, he will not be intimidated. I guarantee you that. And they can, and they go, oh, I hope he does this. It is funny. I mean, there are politicians I don't like, but I would never. Once they're out of, I mean, I don't sit around going, "Oh my gosh, I hope something bad happens to Obama or
it's like, Barney Frank, the Barney Frank guy. I wanted to celebrate the day he left office, and it's like, okay, I don't care but anything more about Barney Frank now that he's gone, and I didn't. And there was a lot that if you really had to go down the list on all the
he's gone. I don't care what
collapses.
He does. Off and be happy.
All the collapses and all that he did to our economy and stuff like that he was a big part of.
Oh my
and
God.
You don't get retribution for it. He did it. He wasn't stopped. You forget about it because it's like, okay, we got to have the good sense not to elect people like Barney Frank. Yeah.
Yeah. I am convinced a lot of these people are going to burn in hell forever because of what they've done to our country.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't think God cares a whit about America.
Well, I don't think he cares about America, but I think he cares about people abusing their authority. And I think he cares. Well, anyone could seek redemption. Don't misunderstand what my beliefs, but I do think and certainly if you read in the Old Testament, God spoke mightily about rulers that oppress their subjects, and so there's some people that are going to have to answer if they don't, seek redemption. Sorry, I've been reading The Shadow, so I'm full of wing-barreled justice, man.
yeah. Tell us about The Shadow. You have been on.
Oh my gosh, I love The Shadow. Dude.
Well, is the writing style is it elevated above the usual in terms of like style, or is it just the subject?
Okay, so let me tell the whole story so that our audience knows. Okay, a few weeks ago on here, I bought the Shadow scrapbook in New Orleans. Last weekend in Norman, Oklahoma, just down the road a little ways, they had a comic convention, and the co-writer of the Shadow scrapbook with Maxwell Grant, was going to be there. He is also, and I didn't realize this until later, the publisher of a company called Sanctum Press, I think, or Sanctum Books. They are the people that have packaged and reprinted they did Dark Savage, they did The Shadow, I think they did The Avenger, but they've reprinted all of these old pulps. They do them 2 or 3 per book, and they're kind of printed like a big magazine size. Mm-hmm. Have you ever seen them, Ellis?
I've got one, and I think it is The Shadow. I think it involved giant robots. It's pretty good.
Oh no, that's The Spider.
Oh, The Spider. Okay, that's funny that you know that. You gave it to me, probably. I
bought that for you.
Okay.
Hang on a second. Let me grab it. Right in the next room. Right here.
Okay.
So I've got it in a bag because I've been taking it to work with me and reading it. But it's like a magazine.
Mm-hmm.
Hang on.
Oh yeah, with a great republished classic pulp cover on it.
Yeah, so on the back it has the 3 covers for the stories that are in there.
Mm-hmm.
And these came out in the mid 2000s, I think. And I bought a couple of them, and this is $15.
Yeah.
But I looked at it and I thought, there's like 350 Shadow stories. I'm not buying 350 of these. And so I didn't buy them. And then they went out of print, and I thought, God, why did I not buy those? And so I bought a backpack full of them. The guy had them. I thought they were out of print, but I talked to him, and he's like, no, they're still in print.
How much did you have to pay?
Email it.
Okay.
I bought 8 of them for $92.
Oh, wow. Pretty nice. That is pretty nice. Woo.
Yeah. That's okay, because I'm getting ready to buy 100. Well, I've got like a dozen, so I'm probably going to order about 140 more.
You're going to be a completist. You're going to read everything they wrote that was called a Shadow story, which is pretty cool. I mean, it's finite, obviously, but there was a lot of it. Have you kind of totaled it up, how much of it there actually is?
Oh, there's 152 volumes.
Wow.
Of his reprints.
Okay.
Yeah, I got it. So I thought about it. Well, here's what I'm gonna do. He gave me his email, and he does like bulk kind of discounts. And so I'm gonna write him an email. I'm gonna get my list up. I'm gonna do a list. I'm gonna do a spreadsheet, and on my spreadsheet, I'm gonna keep track of which ones I read too. By the way.
Oh yeah, because I bet you could be halfway through one of them, and you'll realize, wait a minute, I've read this.
Well, and so I'm gonna send him an email and tell him I want to buy the rest of them. I can send you and he sent me, I think his price he sent me was he would sell me like 25 for $200 or 25. I forget. I got the list. He wrote out a little list.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to tell him how many are you comfortable shipping at a time, and how, you know, I mean, if he says send me $1,000 and I'll send them all to you, I'll drive them up there to you, I'll do it, you know.
That'll be a cool arrangement if you just get them all at once. You'll have to take a shot of that, of course, when you get all that. You'll have to have a wall for it.
Well, they fit in long boxes,
mm-hmm.
but I need to. I mean, I'm not. My studio's packed right now. It's horrible looking. But if I can get it in 2 or 3 long boxes, which
what you need with your layout, you need a backyard that is one of those steel buildings.
Yeah, I really do. Well, you know what we've talked about doing, or what I've talked about doing was because our garage kind of we have a 2-story house and the garage sticks off to the side.
Mm-hmm.
It would be cool to build a garage apartment on my house, you know, and have
cool.
that as a studio. But
yeah,
that's not going to happen. I mean, I don't have that much money in my house. And plus, as soon as I did that, some relative would need to live there, and I have to abandon it, you know.
Yeah. You gotta worry about form follows function, or that
right.
Sort of
yeah. Somebody go, oh, I need that, and I'd have to, you know.
Didn't know it until I saw it, but I need that. Yeah.
That would. I guarantee you that would happen to me. But anyway, so I got to figure out. I told him I'd email him in a couple of weeks. I'm gonna figure out what I have and just tell him, you know, what's the best way for me to acquire all these, you know, and I may even ask him, do you drive through Oklahoma? Would you want to bring, but before I do that, I'm going to figure out if I can, how many would fit in a long box.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think I want to keep them bagged and boarded, which is funny because I don't bag and board my comics, but I think just because they'll set so long, I mean, it's not something I'd pick up and flip through generally, you know, unless I was reading it. I mean, there's some illustrate. They look great. I should flip through this. It has the cover,
mm-hmm.
and then it has all. So the story I read was the Golden Master, which
mm-hmm.
is the first story where the Shadow fights Shira Khan.
The one that the movie's
from the
bad
movie.
Guy.
From the movie, the movie bad guy. He was the Shadows. He was in 4 Shadow stories, so he was the most frequent returning villain, I guess you would say,
mm-hmm.
or nemesis or whatever. But it's got the illustrations, man, and it's kind of laid out like a pulp. I mean, it feels like reading a pulp to me, you know.
Well, that's great.
And
that'd be the best way.
It's a great. And then in between, there are articles and they're like interviews. Well, this one doesn't have an introduction, I don't think. No, I guess it doesn't. But afterwards, it's got an interlude by Will Murray, who's writing the new Doc Savage books.
Yeah, and those are good. Those are funny. I laugh at them more than but they're entertaining too. Because he catches how to, you know, kind of semi make fun of the style and still do the style.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't know how he did them, but it reminds me of reading a pulp. I mean, that's,
mm-hmm.
you know, so it's a cool format. I mean, you know, and these are all original illustrations. And in the back, I think, in the front, it tells, now I don't know how they came up with the order for these because they're not in any kind of order, because one of them came from 1939, one came from 42, and one came from 48. So I have no idea how the guy determined what his publication order was, and he signed them too. But I'm gonna get them. I mean, you know, this is the way, as far as I'm concerned, this is the way to get them for me. You know, as a kid, I'd see these pulps, and there were some people that had them there. This guy had a couple. But I mean, you pay $100 or more for a pulp nowadays.
Oh yeah, and it's you don't want to read it at that point because it's crumbling. Yeah.
Right. So I'm gonna get so my plan. Here's my plan, Ellis. I'm gonna buy these. I'm gonna read them. As said, Barry had a good idea. Barry said read one a month, which I think is probably good. A good, and I'll probably read one book a month versus one story, because that story I read was only 57 pages, but it's not it's not a real quick read because the way it's formatted. And honestly, it took me a while to get into the style of the reading, but because it's very much over the top, purple prose, you know, the staccato chrome 45s, the shadow boomed out, raining hellfire on the the Chinese Mongols as they stormed into the room. Yeah, I mean that kind of thing. It's
well,
great.
That's what I kind of wondered. Was it does the guy stylistically? Because Lester Dent was a stylist. That he was a good storyteller and everything like that. Are you feeling like you're in the hands of a really savory stylist or not?
Let me put it this way. I bought $100 worth of them on Saturday. I've now read the first one of the ones I bought on Saturday, and I'm like all in on buying all of them.
Cool.
Well, here's the thing. I'll buy them, and I'll probably be in it. I mean, do the math. I'll be in it for $1,000 probably, at least. But I mean, I'm not hurting for cash, and I just made a little bit of money selling some comics, and I can buy these, box them up, and keep them in long boxes, and when I retire, I can read through them, and I figure it'll take me a while to read them. Maybe if I'm lucky, I can read them 2 or 3 times completely through before I shuffle off to my eternal reward. And I love the style. It's great. I like Doc Savage okay, but Doc Savage, I mean, the Shadow is just like vengeance personified. He's like
he's more like the Punisher.
He's got a creepy style about him. Doc Savage is more like, I'm gonna go off and
he's
we're gonna
Batman.
have an adventure.
He's Batman the way Batman used to be in terms of like capturing villains and sending them to Arkham Asylum.
Yeah, and the Shadow is just like these no holds barred. It's a cool. It's very. It presents a vision of like New York City that I think is really cool. It reminds me of, when I read it, it reminds me of, when we'd go to New York, there was always, like, especially after when we would go to the con on Sunday night, after the con, the con would end at 5 and we go out to eat, and it'd be in the wintertime. So it'd be dark at 5, 6 o'clock. It'd get dark, 4 o'clock maybe. And we'd be walking the streets, and it just had this eerie vibe. And that's what the Shadow books remind me of. That it's just that creepy New York City. They're not all in New York City. He travels some and that sort of thing. But I mean, man, in the story I read today, like there's a Shiwan Khan has kidnapped this girl, and she's like an industrialist's daughter. And so in order to hide her, what they've done is they've got her hiding out in Chinatown, and he has hypnotized her into thinking she's Chinese. And she doesn't really look Chinese, but she's acting Chinese and she dresses Chinese, and they got a wig on her. So when they got her dressed up and everything, everyone thinks she's Chinese, and she acts Chinese, and that's how they're hiding her. Well, the Shadow figures that out, and so he goes to rescue her. And he goes into this like storefront, and there's like guys in the lobby, and he fights these guys. They're standing around. All of a sudden, the Shadow appears between them and emerges into a man, and he's got twin 45s, and he's like just blasting away at him, and they're charging him, and he's doing jujitsu on them and stuff. Then he ends up going upstairs, and he's fighting these more guys. There's more guys, and he ends up. They shoot at him. These guys grab him, and then the other gangsters are shooting at him, and they're killing the guys, and they're trying to get the shadow, but they can't get the shadow, and so or they don't shoot. They're trying to shoot, but they can't because he's grappled like 3 guys, and they plunge out a window, and like all 3 of them like fall to their death, and the shadow hangs on. He climbs in. He just climbs into the window and just blasts those guys. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's
no,
just
that sounds like a lot of fun to read. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's really cool. I really enjoy it. You know, and I mean, like I said, I had the opportunity to get them all. I have the capital to get them all. I'm gonna get them all.
It can be done. I've already dreamed it. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna write to the guy, and I'm gonna tell him, you know, if you want, I'll send you $200 a month for the next year, and you know, or however long it takes, or $100 or whatever. I'm just gonna tell him what I have and say, you know, I'd like to acquire the rest of them. What is the best way for you and for me? You know, what kind of deals can you give me? I can, you know, we can do, you know, however you're comfortable shipping, etc.
No, that is a real cool collector's kind of project. I've never really, I mean, I've been a completist about stuff, but I have often used just the library to be a completist. And of course, when I was around the LA library system, that wasn't, that meant it was a little easier then when I decided I wanted to read every bit of Jim Thompson, every bit of Charles Willeford, you know, that sort of thing's not quite the project it is here in this library system. I've got 2 interlibrary loans, by the way, on the waiting for me at the library right now. Let's see what are they? I'll tell you what I'm going to go pick up tomorrow. Pick up, come get your books, or let us send them back. I have They Came from Outer Space, which is written by Jim Wynorski, where he's done 200 films, and you know, most of them are not all that great, but he's a Corman veteran, worked for Corman very hard as a writer, a director. I would love to have had his life, basically, to be involved in that kind of a storytelling and that sort of thing, where that's all he did was make movies.
Hey, a lot of people would love to work in video games, Ellis.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know. I had pretty good role myself there for a long time.
Yeah.
But so that's there. And the other one, oh yeah, Books Are Made Out of Books is the name of this book. And it's about all of the influence. If you've ever read Cormac McCarthy and wondered, what is all this dense, antiquated, what moves this guy? What are his influences? And that's what this book is that apparently is a quote from Cormac McCarthy from somewhere where he said, books are made out of books. And so I'm looking forward to reading that one. I'll probably put it at the first of the list of all my little reading chores.
Gotcha.
Get that one done.
Oh, and to answer your question you asked in our email, the fair is going on right now. Michelle and I are going tomorrow.
Oh, you are? Cool.
Well, we hadn't been in a while, and I don't know. We needed. I mean, I know it sounds crazy because we just got back from New Orleans, but it's like my work has been so crazy. It's like, I mean, I'm off on Friday, so we're gonna
take a break. Go look at a cow.
Well, yeah. Well, take a break. Eat a funnel cake.
Yeah. There you go. That rhymes.
That's but I'm sure we'll, look at all kinds of, and who knows what kind of stuff my wife will find out there.
And it's just the vibe. It's fun to get around a little circus like that, walk around amongst it.
Well, I'm hoping if we go on Friday afternoon, it won't be too crowded. It's not a discount day. Everybody's like, oh, you should go today because it's discount day. And I'm like, I would rather pay my $5 and an extra $5 and thin out the crowd a little bit.
Yeah, right.
Anyway.
Don't want to be that big of a circus. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. I want to be a circus, but not a total redneck circus.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'd rather it was rednecks that makes me wonder. I wonder who shows up at a state fair anymore. Who's there?
Know. I will.
You will find out. Hey, you report to me, and I'll decide if I want to go.
Be like Burbank reporting to the shadow.
Yeah.
I feel like
Burbank, is that his name? Yeah, that's right. I remember that. That was one of the characters that of course,
one of his agents.
The great artist.
See, that's the thing. Doc Savage has these goofy guys that help him, and they hang out with him, and I think they live with him, and they're kind of more comedic relief. Whereas the Shadow has, a group of agents that report to him, and they're people that help him, but they're not. But it's more of an. I hate to use this term, but I think it's more of an adult tone, really.
Yeah. As far as adult tone in a pulp where the action is, of course, kind of like silly and over the top, but it is, like you say, it is a difference. And that guy, what is the other guy that writes all the Savages now? Murray. His thing with Murray. It's obvious that he is going through and selectively saying, I don't want to even mess with Rennie and Long Time this month. I'll have them off in South America, and we'll just focus on the guys everybody likes, which is Monk and Ham. And that's a typical choice the guy makes. He winnows them down. He'll have the whole crew every now and then, but he says, let's focus a bit. And that's not necessarily a bad decision, for a guy just pumping out a story.
Yeah. Well,
did you blink
out? So what are you working on today? I'm not working on anything.
I'm just working on little doodles. Here's one I just did of some sort of guy being confronted by a witchy type of figure. I just wanted to do some figure solving. Gotcha. What's that other one I did? I did a little. I don't know why I made him a dwarf. Frankenstein isn't impressive as a dwarf. I don't know what was on my mind, but I'll publish these on my Tumblr. I'll publish them on my Tumblr.
Have you done anything for InWorld lately?
No, I think I've kind of fallen through the cracks or something. And I always wonder about that. When you fall through the cracks, when they had been feeding you real regularly, it makes you wonder, is the main guy that used to assign me stuff, maybe he's moved on. Because after all, thinking of a job like that as an eternal job, and think how long I've been doing those. I've been doing them quite a while through the same contact. It's like if that contact went away, that work would go away,
Oh, not with the work going away, but I've had comic deals where, I've been talking to an editor, and they've been kind of like, well, give me advice and stuff. And all of a sudden I hear, they've left so-and-so, or they've, I met a guy in Chicago at Marvel who liked my work. And literally like the next week I heard he quit Marvel Comics. Yeah. He went to write for wrestling, of all things.
Oh, yeah. That's the deal that, a lot of people, they consider this kind of work, someone with a real zeroed in skill set is going to end up doing the same job in magazines, but someone that's got a management like that big long Marvel book that reveals so many ins and outs about all the people that did this and that.
Yeah,
it reveals, a Jim Shooter comes along, and Comics Journal may hate him. But the guy was a wonder kid of Wonderkind of
Wonderkind, something like that.
Wonderkind. Yeah, it's just German for kid, basically, I think.
Right.
And he really had the goods. He
Oh yeah.
he knew what it took. He was a guy who had those skills early. What do you call that when you're a savant, maybe, I don't know. But anyway, he had the goods and he could run things. And while it was under his tenure, things got done, and things went. And of course, that long book, what is it called again? Just Marvel Comics.
The Untold Story.
Untold Story.
Marvel Comics, The Untold Story. Yeah.
Yeah, highly recommended, just as a way to piece together history in your brain. It tells you how close to the edge they were, chaos at all times. It's a really tough job to get a machine like that churning along.
Oh yeah, and I was on Task Force Geek the other night, and I said I think it was on there. I said because they were kind of we were talking about the comic coming out, and Greg the writer was on there. And I said, if they asked if I had any advice for somebody that wanted to do comics or whatever, and I said, go into it. Don't do it because you want to make money or whatever. I said, people always look at like the Jim Lees or the Rob Liefelds or some of these rare exceptions of people that made a lot of money. Most of the time, those guys didn't make beans, and they still don't make beans. And if you want to do it because you want to do it. But be aware of what you're getting into,
Well, yeah, think about that. When Image started, those guys were understood, though, that they were the talent pack. They gutted that chaotic thing, and it almost did, it had a lot of problems when they gutted it like that with the talent. And and their own thing, of course, they instantly started having flat tires themselves on putting stuff out. But early on, everybody wanted it, and boy, they cleaned up for a while, didn't they?
Oh yeah. Well, and most of those guys, I don't know about all of them, but certainly the main players were millionaires by the time they had made so much money because. All of them had super high selling comics at Marvel, and they were getting royalties.
Yeah,
and so they didn't, it's not like they were risking a lot or whatever. But Marvel took them back. But I tell you what, one bad thing about the Image, I think a lot of the things that we see at Marvel now in terms of like how they treat artists specifically has come about because of that, because they were burned, and I think a lot of people at Marvel have kind of said, or over the years have said, we're not going to get in the position where we let artists become superstars again. Mm-hmm. And so they move artists around. And I'm convinced that a lot of the hiring of the overseas artists it's to get artists a little bit cheaper because of the dollar exchange rate. I don't think they pay them
I think you don't have to be Sherlock Holmes to figure that out. Yeah, that is why they do it.
Yeah, and again, I don't think they're paying them. Maybe I need to rephrase that. I don't think they're paying them any less. I think they just the people where the exchange rate is favorable to the dollar are making more. An American artist might have to do a lot more than somebody where the dollar goes farther. So in essence, they can pay those people more, and so they don't have to raise the page rates, because they haven't raised at Marvel for like 15 years, from what I understand. In fact, they've gone down a little bit, but also I think they don't really push an artist as a superstar like they did at that point, because they don't want to get burned. And then recently I read an article that said, or let's see, it was about Rob Liefeld, and it was a current Marvel staffer was complaining that they were hiring Rob, because it's like, why would they should, Rob screwed Marvel Comics. Why would we ever hire him again? Well, he sells millions of copies.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe not millions nowadays, but for better or worse, his art on a book is a draw. When his name is on a book, it will sell, better.
Oh, yeah.
He had some of his comics for Marvel are some of their best-selling comics. X-Force, his Avengers run was one of the best-selling Avengers runs, believe it or not. When he did them, in the 90s, when they brought Marvel people when they brought Image people back to Marvel to kind of revamp some of their characters, that stuff was popular.
Sure, these guys, they didn't leave the A team basically by leaving Marvel. You do, and that goes on corporate wide all the time. There is no hard feelings about people screwing people because of they're looking out for themselves, number one, that sort of thing. Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
Not personal.
Yeah.
But apparently there are people at Marvel that have taken it personal.
Yeah.
That was the comment, it's like people that weren't even born then are upset about it. Hold a grudge against something that happened before they were born. But anyway, so I got an invitation to join the, which I don't think is that big a deal, but a member of the Oklahoma Visual Arts Coalition reached out to me and said, you should consider joining. We have member shows, and I think your stuff would be good in some of our shows. And, I thought about it, Ellis, and I think I think I would like to draw a large cityscape. And I say that it'd be like a street level kind of thing of Oklahoma City. I don't know where exactly. I mean, what part of Oklahoma City, but I want to do something, and I don't know how big I'm gonna do it. Probably bigger. Well, I have to look. I have to think about it before I do it, because the show is for small stuff. But I think I want to do some maybe pen and ink illustrations of Oklahoma City. I think it'd be cool, and there may be like a market for something like that. I mean, I could do it. I think I could do a really good job at it. I've drawn comics. I draw a lot of cityscapes, and I draw a lot of buildings and glass. I want something that has a lot of buildings and glass and kind of shadows and reflection. And so I am decided 100% if I want it to be a pencil drawing that I pencil it and do like some kind of textures and pencil, or if it's going to be a pen and ink thing, and I just do like some kind of, I could see, in my mind, I could see something with a lot of reflections in glass, or if I want to do a maybe like a pen and ink and watercolor thing. I haven't decided. Those are my three things that I want to do, something like that. But I want to do something fairly good sized, with an eye towards, if it looks cool, I'll frame it and hang it here at the house, or maybe try. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it, but I think I want to do a couple pieces like that. Now the show they have is the 12 by 12 show, which is open to all their members. It's a year from now, so I got a little bit of time, and your pieces of work though are 12 by 12 inches. So I'll have to think about that, how to approach that exactly. But anyway. So tomorrow, before we go I'm gonna get Michelle and I are gonna ride together. I'm gonna get off if the stars are aligned. I should get off about like 10:30, and I'm gonna go downtown and wait. She's gonna get off at noon, so I'll probably walk around and take some reference photos. Kind of think about this.
Yeah, you remember that art show that we were at, and I ran into that one guy that
Oh
He was
yeah.
he was real common when I was running around here in the '80s at local cons, and
He had the were they paintings or
I think,
photos?
yeah, I think his name was David something. I can't think of it again, and I may find I'm on another page right now looking at the data because I would like to remember his name. Oh, here we go. Because Frank Frank Kelly Key Frias was
Yeah.
one of the lot of them. Here, I'll find him here. Wow. Oh, there it is. David Lee Anderson.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
his book came up. His comic book cover came up for not comic book. He was a paperback artist and
Yeah.
showed up a lot and was a good painter. But he was doing pretty much the same thing, wasn't he? He had cool cityscapes and stuff like that. If I remember right, that was the kind of stuff he kind of specialized in.
Yeah, we
And,
saw somebody like that, but I don't remember if that was. Yeah, I'm mine's gonna be I think a little bit different than that if I'm remembering it correctly, but we'll see. I mean, it this is just an idea right now.
mhm. Well, I mean, I wasn't trying to say, hey, that's
Oh
what
no no no! I didn't.
that is a way to go. To have artwork, someone can say, I need that in my reception area, whatever. I mean,
Oh
if you're trying to sell your artwork, it's got to have an appeal
yeah.
for
Well, and that's what I told this guy when he reached out to me. I said, it's funny you reach out because I don't really do what I consider like fine art, you know. Ellis, did I lose you? I think I lost Ellis. I don't know if he can hear me.
someone.
Oh, Ellis.
Try here it comes back. Yeah, we're visible again. Okay, I guess that'll occur as just a quick blip to someone later on catching up. I can't imagine some. I've got so little. Rumble is doing pretty good with creators anymore. I think everybody said, you know what, this Rumble is so nice, just in terms of like being able to say what I think. I mean, if you got someone
Oh,
talking about a subject, wouldn't it be nice to be able to say what you think instead of having to, very carefully edit yourself to where you don't offend big pharma, and
Ellis.
yeah.
Oh, can you hear me? I lost all
Oh
my
yeah.
sound for. I lost
Oh,
all my sound for a little bit.
that's interesting. Well, see, I had a little issue myself, so that blip may just now be working its way out for you. So,
Okay. Oh yeah. Anyway, so I don't know what we were talking about, but I come back. You're talking about big pharma.
well, I was talking about actually Rumble, and
Oh, Rumble. Okay.
and because with Rumble, wouldn't it be nice to be able, if you had an opinion about something, to be able to say what you think instead of
Yeah.
having to edit yourself? And
Yep.
and that's why Rumble has grown. It has found a bunch of people who says, you're getting bigger, and all of a sudden you look pretty appealing to me.
Yep.
And so there are people they aren't migrating off. They're keeping both.
Right.
But that way, when YouTube says, "Oops, you just did something so wrong, you no longer have privileges," like Doug. I mean, it's possible. Here I know a guy that is just has to sneak his way back onto having a platform on YouTube.
Oh, it's
And,
insane what's happened to
yeah,
Doug.
yeah,
It's insane.
yeah. And so, I mean, he's just forever in the like he says, he's in exile.
Oh, I saw on Twitter. I was reading. I've been kind of nipping around at Twitter a little bit, and he posted, and he was like, "People hate me so much that anyone I work with they will approach and castigate them for even working with me. It's like,
Yes.
it's
No.
like,
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And it's so obnoxious, and people don't see how authoritarian and controlling that is. This idea that you can't take advantage of an opportunity to work with someone, whether we think it's a good idea or not. We're not going to let you work with somebody because we don't like them. Now, we're not going to give you an alternate opportunity. We just don't want you working with this person. No one can work with this person.
Yeah.
That's and right. It's like, how many books has Doug sold?
Right.
And how much success has Doug had? And so if anyone has an opportunity, if Doug reaches out to he wants to work with them on something, they immediately it's like, well, you can't do that because he's the wrong, he's a garbage person or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like Gavin McInnes. Gavin McInnes wants to be able to say things that generationally almost skips 2 generations in terms of its bluntness and everything. He wants to be able to talk like that. He wants to be able to tell you about what he thinks about body dysmorphia with one protected group, and he wants to be able to tell you all that stuff, and he wants to be able to do stuff like have drinks with people, and for a lark, they form the Proud Boys.
Oh, yeah.
And because of wanting to go opposite what they think is insanity.
Yeah.
And they should be entire. And that voice is a voice that you can maybe edit and talk about being wrong, but you should not completely eliminate it.
Right.
You shouldn't act like the big.
Well, what gives somebody? I mean, and my thing is always, my thing, if somebody wants to live a certain way, I'm kind of live and let live. Mm-hmm. But it's not like that in our society. It's like, no, that's not good enough. You must approve of this. And not only that, you must worship this. If you don't worship this person's lifestyle, no matter what you think about it, if you don't worship it, then somehow you're this and that. And, it's so ridiculous because it's like, look, I don't care what you do. You go do, as long as you're not hurting somebody or, you go do your thing and, but no, you've got to, it's like, well, you must, if you're not an ally, you're an enemy. It's
That's
like,
right.
That's so ridiculous.
Either or. Yeah. No, that is it. And it's like that old thing by, I can't think of the author's name, but I can remember the poem, and it is Pale Ebenezer thought it wrong to fight, but Roaring Bill thought it right. But Roaring Bill, who killed him, thought it right. And that's where we're at. We've got Roaring Bill deciding you and me are stepping out back, and because I've got all the tools, I've got all the blunt instruments and all the stabbing instruments, and we're going to have a fight because I feel ready for one. And that's what's happened to sanity.
That's why everyone should read The Shadow, because The Shadow would wade into a hell of bullets without a hesitation. He routinely takes on gangs of armed men, thugs, overwhelmed by a flood of thugs, and he shoots his way out.
Yeah.
That's why everyone should read The Shadow.
Yeah, it'd be nice if it worked that way, wouldn't it? Well, we're 58.
No.
Yeah. Let's both do our shadow laughs on the way out.
I've been working on my shadow laugh.
Well, I mean that was Orson Welles' job at one time, or was he the shadow? Did he do the laugh, or was that a special effects guy?
I don't know if it was him for special effects. Probably it was Orson Welles. No, Orson Welles. It was Orson Welles.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's time, isn't it?
Yeah, it's probably filtered a little bit, but it was pretty good laugh for the radio show.
Yeah.
Hey, that'll be interesting. You need to make a project and see how many of the radio shows were taken straight from stories and pretty much straight adapted.
Oh, I don't know I don't think there were I don't know. That book I have has a chapter on the radio shows.
Yeah.
I'll have to read it. That's what I need to read next is that book.
Yeah. Make sure you know what you're getting into, and maybe you can get selective about what you decide to get. They may have had a series that everyone concedes is like, no, we can pass on these, something like that. So a certain era. I mean, how long did the Shadow go on? I mean, what is...
Oh, like 20 or 30 years.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
20
That's sort of thing. There's probably a lot of it that got a little wobbly in terms of quality.
The same guy wrote most of it. Not all of it, most of it. Yeah.
Okay, Scott. Gibson. Yeah. What was his name again?
Walter Gibson.
Oh,
is his real name. Maxwell Grant was the pen name, but Walter
yes,
Gibson.
That's what I'm used to seeing bounce off my eyes. Okay, I guess we'll call it quits. Hey, good show. Everybody remember, Heaven's Rejects. Scott wants you to post pictures every time you buy a copy or see a copy.
Yeah, if you sit out, just if you post a picture on Facebook or tag me or post it on where if we're friends somewhere, wherever, just tag me. Just because I'm just curious about where it's turned up and where people have seen it. I've already gotten a few pictures from across the country at a few different places, so I just think that'd be cool. But
it would be very cool. Okay, let's wind her up. Bye, everybody.
Bye.